and allow notifications. Tap Subscriptions to subscribe to your school. The Events section shows a list of events throughout the school. You can use this button to add an event to your calendar, or tap here to share the event with friends and family. The feed is where you'll find updates from administration about what's going on throughout the school, whether that's celebrating a student's success or reminding you about an upcoming deadline. Search Edgecombe County Public Schools in the App Store or Play Store to explore the app for yourself. It's everything ECPS in your pocket.
Welcome to our March 3rd. Is the owner of Welcome to our March 3rd, 2025 meeting, and this is what we call a special call meeting. And the public can view this meeting with YouTube, Edgecombe County Public Schools, and this is provided for all of our public school meetings. I will now declare and call this meeting to order. I would ask everyone to stand, and we will lead our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We will follow our agenda. Hope everyone has picked up a copy. The next item on our agenda is to approve our agenda. Dr. Bryant, do you have any additional information to bring with us?
No, ma'am.
So hearing none other, I need to hear a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of the agenda as printed.
Second.
Has been moved and properly second that we will approve our meeting today as printed. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The motion is carried. Okay. Next item, we have guests with us today, and they're all ready to start talking. Dr. Bryant, would you introduce them, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate our guests being here today from Bordeaux to conduct the construction manager at risk interview today. Certainly appreciate you being here and submitting RFQ for us in relation to the project. Just so everybody here and the public watching knows sort of the framework for today, Bordeaux is going to give us a presentation regarding their qualifications for our project for North Edgecombe School of Innovation. The board has questions that they can ask in relation to that RFQ, and we'll make sure that we have an opportunity to make sure that you all are able to share your information about your company, and the board has all their questions answered today. So certainly appreciate you being here, and if you could, it'd be great if you could introduce yourself and your team that you so graciously brought here today.
Sure, I'll go ahead and start. My name is Blair Bordeaux. I'm president of Bordeaux Construction.
I'm Chris Small, Director of Pre-Construction at Bordeaux.
I'm Matt Miller, Director of Virtual Construction, Bordeaux.
I'm Matt Woodley. I would be the project manager on the project.
I'm Bobby Clark. I would be the job site superintendent.
Scotty Edwards, Director of Safety with Bordeaux.
Certainly a pleasure seeing you here today, and appreciate you being here. I'm gonna turn it over to you. So anything you'd like to present to us, and the board has some questions that they can choose to ask or not ask, depending upon. I'm sure you will cover a lot of things in your presentation. But just for the public, if you could you just share with us what a construction manager at risk is?
Yes, I'll be glad to. So construction manager at risk was allowed by statute into North Carolina in 2001. So it differs from traditional design bid build. in that we are effectively the owner's agent. Pre-construction is kind of a new term if you've never done CM at risk. We work hand in hand with the designer, primarily responsible for schedule during design, budget constraint and control during design, constructability review, and then heading into subcontractor pre-qualification, and then we'll present effectively a GMP is a term that you might hear, is a guaranteed maximum price. That's where the risk part takes on, is effectively we're at risk for overages beyond the guaranteed maximum price. CM at risk does differ from traditional design bid build in that everything's open book. So we'll act as the owner's agent as opposed to a traditional GC role where everything is quote unquote closed book. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
So we'll go ahead and get started. I think we've heard we'd like to try to keep the entire presentation, including Q&A, under 50 minutes. So we'll shoot for about 25 minutes in kind of presentation, and then we'll go into Q&A. So I'll open up a little bit about Bordeaux Construction. I talked to several of y'all when I got here. All I've ever done is construction. Most of my background is school construction across central and eastern North Carolina. I'll tell you a quick story about growing up in a construction family. My granddad started the business in '77, and my grandmother would always yell at us at the dinner table. She said, "Y'all quit talking shop." It'd be Thanksgiving, Christmas dinner. So literally all I've ever done is construction, and it's something that I love. I'm very passionate about building schools across central and eastern North Carolina. So really grateful of the opportunity to come and interview with you. There's a placemat in front of you. We like to think of this as our first day on the job. So if you want to stop along the way, ask any questions. If we say an acronym you don't know or you want to ask, certainly just don't hesitate to stop and ask. So as I mentioned, we are a North Carolina headquartered company. We're 3 generations of North Carolina contractors that have worked in Bordeaux Construction. My granddad started the firm, I worked with my dad. He's since retired, and we're very passionate about building schools. We are an engineering and news record Southeast top 100 firms. That means we have all the bells and whistles that a large national or even international contractor would have, including in-house pre-construction, in-house virtual design, and safety, but we're located right here in North Carolina. So 100% of our workers live, work, raise families in North Carolina, so we're very proud of that. Geographically, we're very family focused as far as a company goes. I firmly believe in our superintendents being able to raise families and live in North Carolina, so we try to keep our superintendents within about an hour or less of the job site. That means they can get home with their families and they're not having to be on the road, they're not having to be in motels, and we're very, that's been part of our core philosophy. So if you look on the map, you can see the kind of corridor of school construction that we've done in North Carolina is very much centered in central and eastern North Carolina. So this job very much is at home. Dr. Brian, you asked about CM at risk. About 78% of our volume is delivered utilizing CM at risk and design build delivery methods. So we really believe that allows us to leverage the depth of experience in school construction across North Carolina. We've worked on over 300 school campuses across North Carolina into pre-construction, ultimately delivering a better project. In those photos, we'll talk more about them. There's the Halifax County K-8, pre-K-8 school, which is located in Enfield. Bobby is the superintendent on that. We'll talk more about that, as well as the Pender County K-8 school in Hampstead. So as I mentioned, we have done a lot of school work. It's something we're very passionate about, include 22 public school clients across North Carolina. So if you ask what our strength is, it's going to be school construction would be inarguably number one as far as our volume annually and historical. Then I mentioned the CM at risk and design build. That will probably swing more strongly towards design build in the next year and 2 years. We've got Halifax is being delivered utilizing design build, and Pender County's design build as well. We run them similar. The difference between design build and CM at risk is that the designer would work for us. We're a single point under design build. CM at risk, the owner still holds the designer contract. We work in parallel with the designer, but we still run them very much the same pre-con, just a slight distinction on the contract. We've already done introductions. You've got a placemat in front of you. But I did want to highlight that we have a lot of other people that will be behind the scenes working as well. So we've got project engineers, assistant superintendents, assistant project managers, and a lot of admin staff that deliver the horsepower to be able to deliver a school like this on time. So we talked about kind of our firm intro. We'll talk about a couple case studies and why they're similar, and then we'll kind of go a little bit deeper into process. The first one that I mentioned, or I want to highlight, is Bladen County Schools, which is Tar Heel K-8. This was completed 2 years ago. And one thing I wanted to highlight, everything in the top right corner with that blue logo is a North Carolina needs-based grant-funded project. So this would be the fourth need-based grant-funded project if we were awarded. There's some uniqueness to it. I'd be glad to talk more about that. As far as Tar Heel K-8, it was actually a pre-K-8 as well. A couple unique things. It was a net zero project, so that it effectively generates or more power than the building uses. So all the solar panels on there and geothermal were part of the long-term sustainable construction on that. One of the really unique things about that was the buses were bought utilizing a grant on the electric school bus. They served as battery packs to reduce the peak energy load while the school started up, and then the solar panels charged the buses during the day so they could get home. It required a lot of work with Siemens, the building automation contractor, to make sure that the buses didn't deplete to the point they couldn't go and get the kids home safely. But really innovative construction and design that allows us to deliver buildings that really function and reduce cost impact to the client long term.
So Wake County Public School System is one of the 22 public school systems we've delivered projects for. Fuller Elementary is a great example. They were a repeat client. We take a lot of pride in having an owner want us to come back and do a project again. Nothing's more important to us. Wake County Public Schools has a very strict schedule, very strict pre-construction requirements, and being able to deliver for them, I think speaks volumes about how we approach projects.
Again, my name is Matt Woodleaf. I'd be the project manager. That's Northampton County High School. It's a new project that we literally just broke ground about a week and a half ago. Been working on it for about 18 months during pre-construction. It's a project in Jackson, North Carolina, which, if you know, head Roanoke Rapids and take a right, drive about 25 more minutes, and there you are in Jackson. They've been working on this project for about 15 years, trying to get off the ground. They're very excited. It's another North Carolina needs-based project. So we've been working closely with the client. The budget was very, very tight. We just got it settled about 3 weeks ago. But again, I've done a lot of school work. I've done K through 8. I've done high schools. I've done a lot of work community college projects. And like Blair said, building public schools is that's just our bedrock of our company.
I mentioned design build. The one that's on the screen now is Pender County Schools at the design build K-8. This is a fairly large K-8 at 2,300 students. It also had a little bit of uniqueness in it in the creek that cuts through the site that we had to deal with. I saw that on the School of Innovation has a similar creek that we would have to deal with. But it is a, part of the engineering background that we really enjoy is the site construction of how to approach a site and some of the innovative solutions to it. So this one is under construction, scheduled to open in 2027. I'm talking about several of these because we have, multiple teams working on these schools. What you see here is the team that you'll have on your school, and that's something we wanted to really focus. So that's the question that'll probably come up is who's my main point of contact. Of course, I'll be available if needed, but Matt will be the project manager. Once construction starts, it'll be Bobby. You'll see Chris a lot during pre-con. So the team that you see here is who you'll be working with. The total budget or total GMP on the Pender K-8 was $130 million for a 300 student school.
Halifax pre-K-8 school. Again, I'm Bobby. I'll be the superintendent. And if you notice, everyone up here has on the nice jackets and everything, and they have on nice brown shoes. I have brown shoes also.
My jacket's not that nice.
But my brown shoes are a little dirty, a little dusty. So I'm actually boots on the ground. Now, 10 years ago, I could do this without having to lean up against something. So I have 35 years of experience. And with Bordeaux, the picture you see here to the bottom left, there's an auditorium, there's a gymnasium, and then there's a classroom wing. And also there's a media center that will provide a courtyard right in the center. So the photo below also shows that Highway 48 there in Enfield is somewhere we're working around that will be similar to you guys' school. Also in a residential area that we can work with the community. The picture to your upper right is a junior contractors day that we did with the students, and we'll talk more about that. But we have experience to do anything that you would like for us to do. And again, literally, I'm the boots on the ground.
Not a case study that we listed, but one other note I wanted to add is we have worked with Vines. We did the, it was New Hanover County Library with Vines. So we have experience working with them. We would love to do another project with them. They really design a beautiful project. So just wanted to highlight that as well.
Yeah, so we looked at some relevant projects, and now we'll get into our process and what sets us apart. First, pre-construction, we have trusted local subcontractors. Again, we are a community builder. We're, like I mentioned, we build a lot of schools for the community. The other side of that is we want the construction that we do to have a great impact in the local community. So we get really excited when I see Steel Technology, who's one of our best steel suppliers. They're in Rocky Mount. So it gives a better product, more efficient construction, a better budget because we're finding the local subs, and when they're working close to home, just like when we're working close to home, things are better and more efficient. So. Minority participation, the state requires 10%. If you look at our history, we well exceed that. We're averaging 30 to 40%, and that's not an accident. We have a very involved hub outreach program. Instead of just surface level reaching out to find hub trade partners, we're looking at second tier, third tier suppliers. We're writing our bid packages around what's going to get the most involvement from the community. Again, keeping the community in mind and keeping that impact local.
It's a Junior Contractors Day. At the upper right, if you see me there with my hand raised, I'm trying to explain something to the students. And there's some fifth graders that come out, right at 163 students, to come out just to show them that, hey, you guys are the future of our construction industry. Not only males, but females. So we're trying to coach them to see what it is to do construction. The one at the bottom left, I'm sorry, the students are watching the rebar for its masonry. And over to the upper right, the steel erectors. The crane is there, and the students are looking, asking questions. And with this, we just want them to get them involved with, hey, if I can do it, you can do it as well. Because the youth is our future. And without training them now, that's something we take very seriously. So starting out here at this level gives them an opportunity to look at, hey, I can do this also.
Bobby, when is the next contractors college you're doing?
It will be in May. Another junior contractor, so that will be 2 that we've done at Halifax K. And we'd love to do it with you guys.
So another piece of our process is the pre-construction process. The building schedule obviously gets a lot of attention. The pre-construction schedule is just as important. As previously mentioned, we do a lot of design build. In that delivery method, the designer works for us. CMAR is similar, but we take that, really grabbing that pre-con schedule, and we're make sure we're driving and working with the designer to deliver that on time. It's hard to deliver a project on schedule if you don't start on schedule. And so hitting that start date is second to hitting that end date. This is a cost control slide with just a basic example of how we work as a partner to the owner. In this example, it's flooring. You've got short-term cost versus long-term benefit between different flooring types. Value is subjective, and that depends on what your needs are. We take a lot of pride during the entire pre-construction process. We're looking and communicating with you as the owner to find out what you actually need and making sure we're getting the best value and the best bang for your buck. And
This was an exact exercise we did at Northampton High School, was studying LVT versus terrazzo, and helping kind of control budget around that. A lot of the times we'll focus on things that don't necessarily affect the program and focus on more cosmetic things in nature. So flooring, finishes, obviously don't change the square footage of the building or the amount of classroom space. They may change the look and feel of it a little bit, but not the actual program of it. So that'd be a good example of something that we'll study. You asked what is CMAR, what is CM at risk, is pre-construction working through these type of exercises. I like to tell people, our clients that don't know it, is our job as a construction manager at risk is not to make the tough decisions. That stays, y'all still have to make the tough decisions. Our job is to give you the information to make the tough decisions. And that's what pre-construction really is making the most mileage out of the dollars that are available. We understand there's a finite bucket of needs-based grant funding available for this project. So our role is to keep the designer, quote unquote, in check and making sure that the design stays within that sum of money and maximizes the value for the client.
And this is a slide showing our pre-construction technology. We use Toggle AI. It's a AI-powered takeoff software. Takeoff is when we take a set of plans and we're basically getting the material quantity. We use Toggle AI because it's more accurate, and all I can do is think back to 15 years ago as I was coloring boxes on a computer, and this does it for you. It's more accurate.
Computer, I remember doing it with a piece of paper.
But what that allows us to do is spend more time on constructability instead of clicking boxes or using the highlighter like Matt used to.
Exactly. Real quick here, Procore is a cloud-based project management software that we use. There are all sorts of them out there. This is what is considered the Cadillac, though. I say it every time, and Blair always laughs at me, but it's free for you. It's not free for us, but anybody who's involved with the project is more than we're more than glad to invite you. It's just the hub of the entire project. It's got every drawing, every submittal, every RFI, which are the questions that are asked, every photo. Every time Bobby posts a photos, you'll get a daily, email letting you know that more photos have been published. It's just really the hub of the entire project. All the architects like it a lot too. I just wanted to show you that we use the best as far as our software goes.
Good afternoon. Once again, I'm Matt Miller, Director of Virtual Construction for Bordeaux. We use BIM coordination. It's a process that we use to coordinate all the building systems together. If you're not familiar with the BIM, it stands for Building Information Modeling. And so we get 3D models of the building and the structure from the designers. And then we'll work with our subcontracting teams, the key players like mechanical, electrical, plumbing, our steel vendor, and we develop actual systems models that are going to represent what's being installed in place in the field. So we're actually swapping in equipment models that we receive from the vendors for all mechanical, plumbing, electrical equipment. And so we'll host weekly meetings where we go through collapse detection, how we're going to fit everything in place above ceiling. And one big focus during this process that we can do in the 3D environment is putting clearance zones in front of all of our mechanical equipment, in front of electrical panels, making sure that we're not going to have impediments for your maintenance staff so they can access, VAV boxes and plumbing valves above ceiling. And so we have these coordination meetings, and basically we nail down this coordination before we start. And so when Bobby is there on site, he can kind of focus on that big picture of schedule and safety.
Yeah, you mentioned, why CM at risk, and this is a specific focus of why we actively advocate for CM and design build. You don't see BIM modeling and coordination done in traditional design bid build. I've done both. We still do both. I can tell you definitively, we can build a better building cheaper, faster, and easier to maintain using technology like this because we're literally coordinating all of the clashes before we break ground. We're coordinating footsteps before we even set the first beam on the site. It was actually surprising when we rolled this technology out. A lot of the older superintendents, not calling you old, Bobby, really were the quickest ones to adopt the technology because they had coordinated things the old way. Seeing that they're able to focus on coordinating the job as opposed to resolving conflicts, they were some of the first people to buy into the system. So it's really a focus on why we look at CM at risk as our preferred delivery method is because of these type of things allow us to build better buildings.
Yeah, another kind of cool piece of technology that we use to kind of get everybody involved. This is available to the design team, our team, and to all the owners. Is this one's called Oculo, and basically it kind of creates a Google Street View of your job site. So we have somebody on site that walks around. They have a camera on top of their hard hat. They have a big sign that says "Do not approach," work in progress. But they walk the site once or twice a week, and it creates kind of like a real-time street view of your job site. So you can pull up the plans. I want to see what's going on with in the kitchen right now. What's going on with the construction there? You can drop right in there, see the progress that's going on, and it also ties in with the coordination model. So you can kind of see there's nothing above ceiling yet. What's going to be up there? You can look at the model and see what's going to be put in place.
A mock-up panel is an example of the material, the products that will be constructed inside the building. This particular one has an exterior wall with brick veneer, your vapor barriers, your wall insulation, and even an arch for a window. So mock-up walls are very important. It also gives you all a chance to actually see what it is that you're building, how the brick look, what type of brick would you like to see. And the mock-up panel will also give the architectural firm and us as well a teaching point of this is how we would like for you to install it, or this is not the way we would like for it to be installed. So a mock-up panel is a way for us to perfect what we're installing, and also gives you guys an opportunity to look and see the product that you selected.
All right, good afternoon again. I'm Scotty Overs. I'm the Director of Safety. And so our priority is safety, is to make sure that every single worker coming on our job site goes home at the end of the day. So our responsibility is to make sure that happens. And so how we do that is through our site-specific safety orientation. Everybody who comes on our job site, owners, workers, any type of visitors, will come on our job site and we'll go through our orientation. Once you finish the orientation, you'll get a red Bordeaux sticker, number sticker, and put it on your hard hat. That's how, when you guys come out, you'll know who's been through orientation, and that's how we keep track of who's gone through it. I'm on site once a week, more if Bobby needs me to be, and Bobby is not scared to call me. So I go on a job site, and when I'm there, I do our weekly safety audits. Any issues that are found during my audit, it's going to be corrected before I leave that day. While I'm there on the job site, I'll shut the job site down for about 10 to 15 minutes to do a weekly safety meeting with every worker on the job site. It's just to reel them back in and put safety back on the forefront. And I take this time to do training or let them know any type of special hazards or special critical risk activities that are coming up, like crane work. We partner with the Department of Labor, which we're very proud of, with the OSHA SHARP program. You kind of seen that in our previous slides. So OSHA SHARP is it's a program where we invite OSHA to the job site. We're not scared of them. They come on a job site. We have a safety consultant and a health consultant. They'll come out, they'll review our program, our subcontractors program, and if there's any open holes in our program or their program, they're there to be a resource. They're there to make sure that our programs are better when we leave for that day. And then as you can see right there, our safety program is an award-winning program through North Carolina Department of Labor, Carolina AGC, and just here recently, last week, National Award for Safety. So.
The logistic plans here at your location shows the existing school with the community residential area and also a busy highway. We have experience that we can work with the existing building and add a new building, also work around the residents that's in the community. And coordination with the logistics plan will keep us separated, the construction workers, from everyone at the school, from the students, the teachers, and also the parents. We will also, on the logistics plan, show you where we would like to bring in material, our workers exit, enter, and with separation. It just shows that separation from the work that's being done to where you all doing your day-to-day activities. With this site logistics plan, and also we're able to communicate. If you have a special day that you need us to not be in a certain area or we need to reroute our deliveries or our workers, it's just a way to communicate that we can keep the job going but not disturb you guys' day-to-day operation.
And we just don't look at the worker safety, we look at the children's safety, your staff safety. So everyone come on a job site will have to go through a FEED state background check. We receive those background checks. I do a weekly audit of those background checks. So everyone come on a job site, when you get that red sticker on that hard hat right there, that's how you know that they've been through our orientation and that we have cleared them personally for background checks.
This logistics plan is from the Tar Heel K-8 down in Bladen County. So the school up front along 87 stayed open and active. Even the bus loop around the backside stayed open and active. The geothermal loop was north of that site in the ball field. You can see kind of just off the page. After the school, the K through 8 was constructed. We tore down the old school, abated, tore down the old school, and built the parking lot. So there'll be a lot of similarities to the School of Innovation in the construction of the new K-8, and what renovations we do will be very similar in nature.
Is the high school is the plan to stay open during the renovations?
It is at this point. Because the pre-K-12, then you got the elementary school and the middle school, they're going to be open, operating during that time, but the high school is going to have to continue, and the high school is responsible for students who are coming from East Rocky Mount in our merger with students, so the population there is going to steadily increase as the construction is going on.
Well, we've worked in many occupied campuses, many occupied schools. This slide here, one of the last things that we'll do is what's called commissioning. I'm going to assume this is going to have a third-party commissioning agent. They traditionally work for the owner directly, just to keep us on our toes, which we appreciate. But we'll start early with that process, with the commissioning agent working with our plumbing and mechanical subcontractors mostly. Basically, the whole point of the commissioning is to make sure that when we turn over the keys, that all of your systems are working properly. Everything these days will be accessible via a laptop or a tablet or a cell phone, obviously. But we just want to make sure everything's working properly and that your staff is properly trained on how to run their building. And of course, you'll have me through pre-construction, through construction, and for at least 12 months past that for the warranty period. So give me a call. I'm glad to get my cell phone number out.
So that closes out the formal part of our presentation. We like to close out our presentations with kind of our mission statement, and our mission statement is to earn a letter of reference. We understand fully you don't earn a letter of reference by being average. you have to be exceptional. And so that's really our charge on every project that we undertake. Rather than hear it from me, we've left some references on the leave behind. Dr. Cunningham, Halifax County Schools, Dr. Atkins, Northampton County Schools, Dr. Atkinson down at Bladen County Schools. Certainly encourage you to pick up the phone, ask how it's like working with us, and with that, we look forward to earning your letter of reference.
Madam Chair, if I may, thank you for the presentation today. The board has some questions they put together sort of beforehand. If you repeat anything that you've already explained, forgive us up front, and if not, they can choose to omit that question if that's what they want. But Madam Chair, if it's okay with you, we'll open the floor.
Absolutely. I have a question. This is what I call my own question. Now, I think it was Ms. Blake that may have said this, and if I'm wrong, okay. Did I hear someone state that we have a creek on our property?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
You can see it runs kind of,
This is our corner.
yes.
Okay.
So it kind of cuts between the track and the bus lot, and then turns.
Kind of starts left and then goes up there.
Lake Canal.
That's what it's called.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So one thing that we saw at Pendercate that I mentioned, we had a similar circumstance. We had a jurisdictional stream running literally through the middle of the job site. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers permitting process, if we can stay under, I think it was 0.05 disturbed acres of the wetland, we cannot have to get a special use permit. If you have to go through the special use permit with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, it could add potentially an extra year to the schedule. So that's a good example of how we can work side by side with the civil engineer, the designer, and then tie all the schedule component back in and help make informed decisions that ultimately stay on schedule.
Okay, thank you. I would also ask another question. If you would you please share a little bit more background on your experiences with doing CMAR with K-12 on one site?
Okay, so all of the projects that we showed in the opening were all
K-12.
K-12, yes, ma'am. So
Okay.
that included, I'll just walk back through them, and we've got a bunch of others. Like I said, we've worked on over 300 school campuses across North Carolina. Bladen County Schools was delivered utilizing CM at risk. Wake County Schools is CM at risk. This is our second CM at risk project with Wake County Schools. We have Brentwood Elementary, which is in pre-con scheduled to start this summer. That's about a $65 million tear-down rebuild elementary school. And then East Garner Middle School is scheduled to start in 2027. Both of those are CM at risk, currently in pre-con. Northampton County Schools is CM at risk. That's a high school. That one just started about 2 weeks ago. And then Pender County Schools, we indicated here, was design build.
Which is very similar.
It's very similar in nature. I'll be glad to talk more detail. And then Halifax County Schools was design build as well.
Okay.
But all of these are K through 12 projects utilizing alternative delivery. So alternative delivery is anything other than traditional hard bid. So we classify CM at risk and design build both count as alternative delivery. The significance is both of them have pre-construction services.
Thank you. Ms.
And the-
Dillon?
The best thing about a CMAR project or a design build project is it's more collaborative. We are your agent, we're your fiduciary. I mean, you see anything, any change order I write, any amount of money I have, I mean, any bid I get from a contractor at bid time, I mean, it's all open book. Whereas the traditional hard bid, I mean, we do those too, and they work out fine. But it's more. This is my money, and you don't need to know, Mr. Owner. But in a CMAR project, it's all open book, so it's very collaborative, and it's a lot more fun. There are a lot less arguments in a CMAR project. Let's put it that way.
You talked a lot about some of your recent projects and all. I would like to ask, maybe pick out a couple, and what were some big challenges that you faced?
Budget. All of them. I'm not being facetious about it. Budget, has been a challenge. We're not, living in a world where the traditional 3 to 5% escalation models have helped. As I was talking with Dr. Bryan coming in, was that the state on the last 2 needs-based grant projects we have done awarded an additional $12 million through a second round of funding. That's something I wanted to go back and research after this to see whether this round had it or not. One other unique challenge that we did at Northampton County, and I think it would be something worth discussing for your project, is what's called a new market tax credit. Now, without getting in the weeds of it, it's fairly technical, but effectively it is a tax credit from wealthy investors around the country, and they can apply them towards areas, and I think Edgecombe County Schools would probably be a good candidate for it. Northampton County is pursuing it. They're looking to hopefully get somewhere about $6 million without strings attached of additional capital. So that could be a good opportunity to help bridge some of that funding gap. And we've got some contacts of who we've worked with at Northampton County Schools. So I think that would be something that I would want to, I guess one lesson learned on that is we got into the pursuit of that. There's about an 8-week funding window for those new market tax credits. If you're going to be able to use them and design around them, you need to have an understanding of them being available early enough in the project to be able to make decisions around those. So I think that would be one thing I would do different if we were selected, is start that process earlier of pursuing those new market tax credits. But they really seem they would be a good fit for this project. All of the construction stuff, whether you're navigating around a civil engineering issue or a structural issue or budget has been the single one hardest challenge we've had to deal with when we've seen construction cost escalation north of 20+% annual, and it's compounding. So that's really Chris's job, and what keeps him up at night is how do we keep this school on budget.
Thank you.
Could you please describe for me how your firm will be working with the architect to ensure a project is on time and on budget?
Okay. Well, like you said, that a lot of that starts with the relationship that we build, and doing CMAR construction manager at risk project really helps that out. I mean, me and the architect will be best friends by the time we're done with the pre-construction. We'll be spending a lot of time with each other, either in person or Zoom or Teams calls. I mean, one way that we can facilitate that once the job starts, we're responsible for submittals process. I mean, we'll have 500 plus submittals on this project. Those are your drawings and products that will be used on the job. It's our responsibility to get those into the architect as quickly as possible. And his or her job will be to answer my RFIs, my questions promptly. I mean, we try to assist the best we can. Bobby's been doing it long enough. He oftentimes knows what the answer should be in the RFI that he writes. So we'll phrase it that way, but it'll be their responsibility to get back to us quickly. But I mean, really, I personally take pride in my relationship with the architect and the client as well. Back in my younger and hot-headier days, I got into a few fights and arguments with a few architects, and I learned that was that did not help me at all. I like to see the forest, not the tree. So my job is to get your job done on time and on budget, and whatever else I got to do is just, that's just a periphery. My job is to get the job done as quickly as possible and stay on budget.
I did want to highlight one thing that I think makes Bordeaux unique. Pretty much any CM at risk has to have a pre-con department if they're going to be a legitimate CMAR. Our model is that the PM is involved in the job from day one. So starting today all the way through construction. Pre-con is there for support, but the PM is still largely going to be your day-to-day contact. The reason why that's an important distinction is if pre-con runs with the job, you get to GMP and they hand it off. There's so much lost in that handoff that is really valuable information. You go through design, is probably at least 12 months, probably more like 16, 18. Y'all been probably chasing this job for 20 plus years. That history is really important. So that's one important distinction when you hire Bordeaux is you'll get the project manager will be involved, Matt, from day one all the way through warranty phase. And that's a really important part. Pre-con's still there, but they're largely for support and helping the estimating horsepower, the scheduling horsepower, all of that. But really it's PM-led is something that is a significant distinction that we like to emphasize.
You mentioned some subcontractors in Baker and
Yes.
East, and then you talked about your minority numbers and things. Can you kind of describe your subcontractor pre-qualification? How do you look for subcontractors?
Sure. You want to tackle that one, Chris?
So we have a pretty wide group of subcontractors that we've worked with. When we're pre-qualifying a subcontractor, we call references, we look at their financials, make sure they're above water and doing well and not biting off more than they can chew. We want win-win-win. And it's a win for you, it's a win for us, and it's a win for them. We want everybody to win. We're not trying to put people in bad positions to get a low price.
Yeah, so one thing I'll add to it, under CM at risk is General Statute 143-128. I know that because we've been in a long time. One of the things about the CMAR statute is it indicates that the CMAR shall pre-qualify and accept bids from all first-tier subcontractors. So that word shall in there means that we are required by statute to pre-qualify and accept bids. So that's really, part of our robust pre-qualification process. Chris mentioned we go through financials. At the end of the day, is if we bring a mechanical or electrical or plumbing or mason or concrete sub and they fail, we all look bad. We're not going to finish on schedule. So that's a lot of what our pre-qualification process is. The other part that we mentioned is the minority business and local. We're not immune from understanding how big of a project this is in Tarboro in Edgecombe County. We have a vested interest in maximizing the amount of money that stays local here. Like the old adage is why am I going to go mow grass across the state if I can mow grass in my own backyard? Not to mention the subcontractors are more responsive. So we'll hold outreach sessions here in Edgecombe County, and then Chris mentioned we'll write bid scopes. So it's really kind of a matchmaking thing. That's really where the magic happens to get those 60s, the 40s, is you're making matches with the local subcontractors that may not have the capacity to do the full package, but still get part of the project. There was a kind of a good example of that. It was down in Bladen County. I had a mason that came up and they said, well, I want to participate in this project, Mr. Bordeaux, and I said, well, how much work have you done? Well, I haven't done masonry in about 10 years. And I said, well, that's not really going to work out well for you to take on the masonry. But they were able to function as a second-tier labor crew to the prime, which was actually manning on that job, and still participate in that job. So it was a local Bladen County minority business was still able to participate in the project. but they didn't have the capacity to do the full masonry package. That's a good win-win of how do we play matchmaker and get those kind of percentages that far exceed the state minimum goal and maximize local participation.
Thank you.
We'll do that for you here.
You've pre-qualified them and you brought the subcontractors in. How do you manage their job performance from kickoff to finish?
That's really the Bobby show. Bobby, you want to?
Job site.
A lot of that is the quality of work and also communicating with the contractor and his tier subcontractor, of having job site meetings to make sure that we all understand what it is that we're doing and within a time frame of what we're doing. So we give them a start date, we give them a completion date, and we hold them to those dates.
And we have pre-construction meetings for all of our major subcontractors before they start, typically about a month before they're on site. And then Bobby holds weekly superintendent meetings. So we'll get all the subcontractors into our trailer. We'll go over what we call a 3-week, or Bobby Special. He does a 4-week schedule, and the rest of the guys do 3 weeks. But they'll do a 4-week schedule. You know what's happening every day. Make sure that there's no conflicts. That type of stuff. And Bobby's firm but fair. So he doesn't take a lot of gruff on site, which is good.
In a supply chain challenged era, describe how your firm tracks and procures long lead time materials.
Miller can probably handle that, or Chris, either one.
Well,
Or you? I don't care. We deal with it on that.
Yeah, I mean, long lead time items, it is a challenge. I mean, for a lot of long lead time items, we like to try to get it like an early package. So if we know that we're going to have problems with, let's say you have a generator on site, or you have HVAC equipment, that might be a long lead time. We might try to get that released early, push some of those through the process kind of ahead of where they normally would be, so we can get those ordered. Like on my last project, a couple of years ago in Johnson County, we had a generator that took 15 months to get, and that was really a stretch on the entire project. We just have to be aware of what the long lead time items are. Talking to the design team, recent projects. I mean, really, the subcontractors will jump up and down and scream if they know that something's going to be a long lead time item.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the keys is working with the designers. We've seen lead times come back down to earth from what they were.
It was terrible.
We still see them primarily mechanical and electrical would be the two significant items. So that would be large electrical gear, transformers, elevator, and mechanical equipment. So identifying those lead times early in the project, potentially procuring them direct. We've done that as well, and handing them over. Matt, you want to talk about some of the VDC and prefab components?
So, one thing, you might be having to release mechanical units, before you start digging footings. You have to get them on time, but we still want to make sure that what we're releasing is actually going to fit within the confines of the mechanical spaces we have. So I can use Pender Kate as an example. We haven't started digging footings there yet, but we've had a bunch of meetings where we're in that 3D environment. We actually have the vendor models of these mechanical units, and we're kind of looking at everything. And we went through every mechanical room, making sure everything was going to line up with the shop drawings that we've submitted, and we were able to ensure that, this is all going to fit how we need it. So we were able to release the mechanical units. I think it's like a 12-month lead time on this. So. And the other thing is when we are able to coordinate all these building systems, with confidence, then we can actually prefabricate a lot of the duct systems and piping systems. So that can also help out. You can secure material early. You can basically assemble it, off-site in a controlled environment, and you can have it delivered to site when you need it. So that also helps with the efficiency of that.
Mr. Ellis, you mentioned one of the kind of challenges we've been seeing is, so it's not just budget, but it's also manpower, which is also driving budget. So prefabrication is one of our key tools that we leverage to help mitigate the manpower shortage that we're seeing in the construction industry. So that's prefabrication off-site in a controlled factory environment that's not weather sensitive. They're reducing waste. If you think about a plumbing contractor, they cut a 2-foot stick of pipe off, they probably just throw it away. In a manufacturing environment, that 2-foot stick goes to use in some other piece of the assembly. Cuts down on the number of boots on the ground to install it. It improves schedule, it's better quality, and it also addresses the manpower issue. So we're heavily invested in this type of technology. It helps mitigate some of those manpower issues, and as I mentioned, it really delivers a better product for the client.
In a project like ours, what challenges do you foresee in the next 24 months of construction of the project?
The first challenge is going to be to get to GMP. So that's been, the budget, and really dive in, roll our sleeves up with the designer. That's really hurdle number one. Let's get the design done, permits done, and get the final cost amount. Bobby, what challenges would you kind of see in construction you want to highlight?
The question that Matt had asked about the existing school will be occupied, and then working around you guys' schedule to see what areas are we restricted in for as far as lay down for building materials or excavating, or where can we put office trailers, and then just getting accustomed to the area, the community, just finding out, just talking with people there, how can we disturb you all where it's a problem? And that's something that we try to permit in the beginning, and then the screen that we talked about. But those are the main 3 or 4 things right off the top of it.
Any pre-con you want to highlight, Chris?
Just right now, the market's crazy, and having a robust list of alternates, and so you kind of want to approach it conservatively so that you're not faced with a big bust at the end. And so you make a list of things that would be good to have but not crucial. And that way, you have your list ready that when you're approaching it conservatively, if you have that money left over, we know where it's going on smart items that fit your needs.
And one thing we have explicitly said is that we'll do at least 3 or 4 budgets during the design phase. Typically one at SD, which is the schematic design, and then one at DD, which is the design development, and then one at CD, which is construction documents, and then each one of those, we're checking the budget to the best of our ability. That's through our historical database of all the projects that we've done. We're getting subcontractor input. The subs will help us budget out projects, and then the last thing we'll give you will be your GMP. So constantly, that's Chris's realm there. But you're always trying to maintain that budget. And like you said, having a list of alternates that kind of like a wish list of items that you're not counting on, but you would like is often very helpful.
Okay. I think unless someone has a burning question talking about the board, I would ask this: is there anything you would like to share that we have not asked you about?
Well, it's close to where Bobby lives.
Yes, I'm your neighbor right here in Nash County. So
He'd love to be on this job.
right here at home for me. Right at home.
Yeah.
And I would give an opportunity. I would love to build this so that way I can talk with my neighbor that he's in another county, and I can say, let's go ride down 97 and look at what I've done. So right at 97. Right at home. Yes.
I heard that you have your superintendents close to the area.
Yeah, that's really important. Right at home. I actually, I sing gospel music, and I've sang at that school many years back, 10, 15 years ago, and just going back just to see it now, oh wow. Yeah. But yeah, being at home, oh yeah.
That's what Don was, a bad music person. Madam Chair, one thing, there's rumbling about steel maybe be a problem. Have you heard that?
Talking about the tariffs, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, I fielded a few phone calls in the last couple of weeks from subs for my Northampton High School project where they have said, well, my steel price is steel and aluminum mostly right now. Right, and they're worried about, they're hearing, even though the tariffs I don't think have hit yet, The manufacturers, everybody's getting nervous, so they're raising their prices maybe preemptively. So we're really just dealing with that the best that we can on a contract by contract basis.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I would say about it is a lot of it's fear mongering is overblown.
Okay.
You know, you hear 25%, it sounds like a really big number. Well, that's 25% on raw materials. And that's after it gets kind of factored down into the actual cost, you take out the labor's not going up 25%. It's actually closer to 2 or 3%. So it's a real impact. 2 or 3% on 60 million still, 1.2 million. But it's not as dire of a 25% thing. We can budget around it. And that's something that Chris and his team will work with. Northampton County was challenging on budget. We took bids back in October, and we just broke ground last week, so it was right at the end of 90 days. Of the bids, none of them were unable to enter into contract and hold their bid for 90 days, even with the tariffs. So, yes, it's a real thing, but it's not as blown out of proportion as the media would make it sound. Yeah.
Okay, I got one more.
Okay, go right
We're
ahead.
in the same ballpark with labor as Northampton and Halifax. We're in that same ballpark. Have you had a lot of problems with finding people?
We have, and the one thing I would say is that you'll have the added benefit is Halifax will be finishing right when this one's starting, so you can get all those subs and roll right into it with Bobby. It was something that really caught Northampton on the chin because it had Halifax and then Weldon City and then Northampton bid back to back to back, and that really tapped the market. If you had to ask for my kind of, crystal ball of where we'll be, is there's only a finite number of trade contractors that can go build schools of this magnitude. I would envision that we should be in a lot better shape by the time this project breaks ground. Some of that initial wave that's really kind of feeling some pain should be starting to look for some work by then.
And also, I want to say this, one thing Northampton's challenged is it's just far enough away from, Raleigh and Wilmington. It's like an hour 45 from Raleigh. It's 2 hours from Wilmington, whereas we're in Morrisville, so right there by the airport. So you're like an hour and 15 minutes away, I mean, that's still in the realm of the Raleigh-Durham subs. For sure, would be my guess.
From Garner, I mean, it's, 45 minutes or so. So it's really an hour top. So you can still get a lot of the Raleigh subs, which should benefit you.
Yep.
Anyone else now? All right. You all have been very, very patient with us, and we certainly appreciate each of you. Now, Mr. Bobby, you have the same name as my sister's husband. So, I might talk to you, and you from LaGrange, North Carolina. But anyway, thank you so much for this part. Dr. Grant, I'll let you go from there.
Thank you again for being here. If we have any follow-up questions, we'll certainly let you know as soon as possible. And just appreciate your time and information you shared today.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, we can take a 5-minute break.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you.
Very nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You had yours right on the time. They tried to work on you. You got this stuff.
Dr. Wilson, thank you so much for having
Yes,
us.
yes. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very
They
much.
tried to work on you. How you doing?
All right, look forward to it.
Yes, yes. We feel like that. You're gonna do a great job.
Good evening.
You're gonna do what you say.
I'll give you all I have.
All right? We take your word today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a great one. Take care, sir. Have a good one. Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
do you want us to leave the flash drive with you?
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Need a couple of ice or just one?
Just water. Do you have the flash drive?
It's on the computer. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank y'all again.
And thank you. That Eastman project is coming along. I saw that this weekend.
Good. Stop by and see Bobby if you like. He'll be glad to show you. I didn't think Bobby was going to break into a gospel song there for a second.
Okay.
I've never seen that happen.
That's a good project. They had to tear down and build back up at Eastman. Eastman down 48 down Halifax. The old Eastman, I thought they were going to save the gym. They let it cave in. And they had to tear everything and haul it away and start from scratch. But that gym could have been salvaged. Because actually what happened is that they could have put a roof on it, and they did not. They let it go. They let it chill in and all the weather. Yeah. It's going to be a pretty school. K8. K8. And Northampton is coming from the ground up. High school, yeah. Okay. They're coming from the ground up.
We had y'all's old preacher in our church this night. What, I think he's from y'all's church, Wade Crawford. He told us yesterday about the children's home, Burnt Report.
attorney-client privilege information.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we will go into closed session. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Rose got the door closed.
Hold on 1 second.
Introducing the brand new app for Edgecombe County Schools. It's everything ECPS in your pocket. This is the home screen. Tap the 3 horizontal lines in the bottom left to see all the menu items. To turn on push notifications, tap Settings, select Notification Preferences, and allow notifications. Tap Subscriptions to subscribe to your school. The Events section shows a list of events throughout the school. You can use this button to add an event to your calendar, or tap here to share the event with friends and family. The feed is where you'll find updates from administration about what's going on throughout the school, whether that's celebrating a student's success or reminding you about an upcoming deadline. Search Edgecombe County Public Schools in the App Store or Play Store to explore the app for yourself. It's everything ECPS in your pocket.
It's green.
Now we can go.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the contract with Vines Architecture LLC for architecture services for the North Edgecombe High School construction project for a total amount of $3,804,000.
Have a second.
It's been moved and properly second that we will approve the Vines contract in the amount of $3,804,000. Karen, did that include enough in? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Aye.
Motion carried.
The motion carries. Thank you. Next, on CMAR, do we say how much that is?
It has been negotiated.
Oh,
Madam Chair, I make a motion to select Bordeaux Construction Company to provide CMAR services for the North Edgecombe School construction project and authorize the superintendent and board attorney to begin the contract negotiation process.
Have a second.
has been moved and properly second that we will approve Bordeaux's contract with the attorney and superintendent discussion of the contract. But we don't have the amount of, I don't say that.
Begin negotiation
Just the beginning of the
negotiation process.
Okay. Negotiation process. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. That's the end. Oh, let me have something on the back. Yes. Now I need to have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Has been moved and properly seconded that we will adjourn this meeting. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Good meeting. Thank you all.